morning. So, welcome to day four of Virtual Summit 2026. So, before you start your presentation, I would like to introduce you to the audience. So, welcome on stage, Laurie Lynn Smith. Laurie Lynn Smith is a corporate strategist, executive leader, and wellness advocate specializing in sustainable performance for women in midlife. As Director of Strategic Partnerships and Delivery at LBC IT Solutions. She leads large-scale digital transformation initiatives while promoting balanced leadership practices. She is also the founder of Flourishing Rebel and Strategy Rebel, where she equips women with frameworks to redefine success without burnout, drawing from her MBA achievement at 50 and her personal menopausal journey. She is from Canada. Yes, yes, Laurie, you can start your presentation. The stage is all yours. Good luck.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon where you are. I want to talk about why do capable women start questioning their performance in midlife? And what if nothing's actually wrong with us? What if the modern rules of later leadership were just never built for this phase of our life? For many women, the peak leadership responsibility coincides exactly with those physiological changes, yet leadership narrative never has evolved to match those biological reality. So what we're going to talk about today is the new rules of modern midlife leadership. So if we go back about 10 years, I was in the place where I was leading a high stakes digital transformation, millions of dollars on the line, timelines going crazy, and executive visibility at its peak. I should have been at the top of my game, but instead I was waking up at 3 a.m. My heart was racing, my mind was spinning. I was worried about all the scenarios from yesterday and all the plans that I needed to make today. And I told myself it was just, oh, it's a project. We have deadlines. I just have to push through. I have to get more organized. I have to work harder. I have to be clear with my instructions, and took on a lot more decisions. But the fog got thicker, and my words were fumbling all the time. I was short and snapping with people. And I was realizing that is not who I am. That's not the person that I want to be either. It took months to kind of connect the dots between it wasn't just stress, it wasn't my leadership, it was perimenopause. And it was like a brick hitting me. This is not something people talked about 10 years ago, especially in work. Um, so then I started noticing it everywhere from peers. There was a VP who was suddenly having problems with ambiguity. There was a director who was over functioning, just like me, just to keep ahead of where we were, just to stay a part of it. An executive that left at 52 because she thought, this is it. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done. They weren't really done. It was that their leadership model was broken, was not working the way it used to work. It's not working the way it worked in your 30s and 40s. This is what the data says about it. It's systemic. It's an everything problem. 40% of senior leaders report chronic exhaustion, not busy, not stressed, exhausted. And that number is even higher for women. It isn't about working too hard. It isn't that hard work creates this chronic exhaustion. It's the misalignment that women have at this time of their life. You're under chronic stress all the time. Your cognitive capability starts dropping by 20 or 30%, and you really start to notice it. This means that your memory starts shrinking, decisions take longer, your mental sharpness just isn't the way it used to be. And you feel like you're losing capabilities. Not your nervous system is just because you're under such sustained load all the time from all of these things, not just one of them. It's more of a timing problem. You're at your peak leadership skills at roughly the same age, 45 to 55, where now your hormones are starting to act up. So this is really like just stacking on all of the things that are happening. So the years when you feel like you should be at your best because you're at your peak performance in your career and in your leadership skills, this is when your biology is, raving havoc in your life. This is the gap that we want to close. So what's actually happening? First, chronic stress is not a spike of stress. So, what often happens in a project is a spike of stress, which is fine. It spikes up, it goes down. That's normal. What we often find at this time is the chronic stress that is just the same all the time. It's not a spike, it's just always high. That means your mental agility is always uh, at this high level versus what we would normally see, which is up and down. Oh, there's a big decision today, but the next few days, I'm totally fine. And that's what we're used to, is that up and down. When it's high all the time, that starts causing us problems. And then the hormonal shifts, of course, are the big thing. Your estrogen is dropping, your moods are becoming unpredictable, you're starting to have troubles with your memory and your emotion regulation. This really starts impacting. So, what does this look like in real life? This is the waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, the mind racing all the time. And then the next day, you're tired and you question your decision making and are you making the right thing? And you're continually going through this same cycle where this is happening all the time. And then add on top of that, the memory fog, which for me was one of the worst things. It's like you can't remember what you did yesterday. You can't find words that you would normally be able to easily use. And, in most business situations, we have a lot of these words, jargon that we use in our industries, environments that suddenly just disappear after like 20 years of working with them. And then we try to compensate by over functioning to try and prove that we're still capable. And this just adds even more onto the pile that we already have, because you're overcompensating, trying to work harder, trying to work longer, trying to get all of this organized. This is not a personal failure. It's biology, and it's intersecting with your leadership responsibilities. Most leaders don't have a language for this. And as I mentioned, it is not something we've talked about in the past in the role in our leadership in our corporations at all. So when leaders start to feel this way, the, the clarity drops, the sleep is disrupted, reactivity starts happening, and we just really start trying to do more, which just makes it worse for us. The logic makes sense. If I'm struggling, try harder, work more. But really, the effort without alignment escalates the burnout. It just doesn't solve the problem, because the problem isn't the volume of work you're doing, it's coherence with your work and your body. So when you're fighting your biology instead of working with it, everything costs more energy. Decision qualities drop, and you staying busy but not actually getting any results. So what we're here today to answer is, what is the new operating system that you can install in your life to help with this situation? It isn't about pushing further, it's about leading differently. So let's look at the 5 rules of It's the 5 rules to how to change how you think about your leadership in midlife. These are not restrictions, they're permissions. Permission to lead differently, permission to work with your biology instead of fighting it, permission to build leadership that sustains instead of depletes. The first 2 things that we're going to look at the uh, are foundational. These 2 rules are they're the rules that let's say rules. They are the basis. They're the foundation for what we need to start with to help build up what we need for our new operating system. So the first is energy. This obviously is kind of it's the thing that impacts us the most at work. So we've often talked about energy as a wellness issue. So, and something that, you go out and you do yoga for, you try and sleep more, or you try and meditate for, you work at that energy level. But energy for leaders is not about wellness. It is our biggest strategic asset. Every decision we make, every conversation we have, it navigates every problem to solve from the same energy account. When the account runs low, decision quality stops, our patience gets shortened, our decisions become cloudy. That's because we're working from depletion. Think of it like a battery. So, what are the practices that we can do to help change this? So, one thing that I recommend is 15 minutes a week. So, not a lot of time, 15 minutes a week for an energy audit. So, not a time audit, not what am I doing with my time, but an energy audit. What am I doing that restores me, that's refilling my battery? What are those things that actually do that? It might be 30 minutes alone before your day starts. It might be skipping one of those meetings that you're not really valuable in. It might be going for a walk at lunchtime instead of focusing on your emails. What are those things that really restore your energy? And then think about what drains you. So, what are those things that are happening in your day to day that uh, are not purposeful for you, not valuable for you, and are just busy work? When are they obligations that you're not adding value to the situation? And then what sustain me? So what are those things that you need to keep doing, but you don't have they're net neutral. They're not a positive and they're not a negative. They're just equal. What you're doing doesn't deplete or increase. Protect those because those are the things you want to focus on, especially in business where we don't have a lot of control over what's happening in our life. When you start treating energy as a strategic input, it starts shifting. Stop making decisions from depletion, and that changes everything. So, on to the next rule, emotional intelligence. So, again, emotional intelligence has always been positioned as a soft skill, a nice to have, a relationship builder, which it is. Don't get me wrong, it is. But in midlife leadership, EQ is a stabilizer when your body isn't stable. When the hormones are shifting, when you're not sleeping, and your reactivity comes faster, your emotions don't disappear, they get louder. But it's what you do with them that determines how it impacts your leadership. Here's a practice for this. Before any high stakes interaction, a tense meeting, a difficult conversation, a decision that you're under pressure, take 90 seconds. That's all, 90 seconds. And this is something you can do in the office, in a meeting. People aren't even going to know you're doing it. So you're not psyching yourself up. You're not rehearsing what you're going to say. You're just going to reset your nervous system. So you're just going to pause. You're either going to close your eyes or just look down. Um, And you're going to take 3 deep breaths, like really deep breaths, and really take it in. Let your shoulders drop. Make sure your feet are grounded on the floor. And then just think to yourself, what is the outcome that I want to have happen in this next experience? And just do that. The 90 seconds, that's all you need. These 2 rules, energy and emotional intelligence, are your foundation. These are the place where you have that internal capacity to lead well. When these conditions aren't ideal, that's when your foundation gets shaky. But it isn't just capacity, it's also protection. Once you have that foundation, your energy and emotional intelligence, the question is, how do I protect that? The next 2 rules talk about the container for protecting that. The first one is boundaries. Well, boundaries often get a bad rap. We think that means we're saying no a lot, or we're not available for important things, or we're letting people down. But that's not true. Boundaries aren't about saying no more. They're about protecting your yes. And that matters way more. Every time you say yes to something of low value, you say no to something of high value. Maybe you don't see it immediately, but your calendar does, your energy does, your team does. So there's a filter. So before you commit to anything, a meeting, a project, a quick question, which are always the worst, aren't they? Um, does this require my authority or my availability? If it requires your authority, your judgment, your decision making, your strategic oversight, then it's a yes. That's your job. That's what you need to do. So you can say yes with clarity. But if it only requires your availability, if someone just needs a warm body in the room, or a name on an email, or just reassurance that you're paying attention, that's not leadership. That's a habit. Don't delegate it, decline it, or redesign it so that it doesn't need you at all. This is something I'm practicing every day, is working on this delegate, decline, or redesign. It takes a little work to get there, but it is helping tremendously. So when you apply this filter consistently, things start to, to shift. Work starts piling up. Your team starts to think before escalating. Decisions are made at the right level, and you actually have the capacity to do work that requires your presence. But here's the thing, boundaries only work if you have the second kind of protection, which is resilience. So we've often been told the story about resilience, that it's fundamentally exhausting. Resilience means endurance, it means pushing through, it means grinding out, providing more than anyone thought possible, just pushing, pushing, pushing. But real strength is not relentless. It is recovery in motion. It's recovery in motion. Resilience isn't about how much you can endure without breaking. It's about how quickly you can return to clarity when you've been pulled off course. So here's the practice. Map out your rhythm, not your schedule, but your rhythm. What are your natural rhythms? What are the normal energy cycles that you feel? Most of us think about months, but it also is daytime. What is your normal rhythm for the daytime? What is your normal rhythm for the week? What is your normal rhythm for the month? What times do we see where we're slower, more reflective, less available? And what times do we see where we're at our peak and ready to go? Instead of always trying to operate at the peak when our biology is not aligned with us, we design around it. Your schedule is more demanding during these surge things, but how do we protect that recovery time? So what I was talking about for those waves where, yeah, often we do go through stressful experiences, but there's always that calm that happens afterwards. And are we taking advantage of that? And are we planning for that? When we do this, performance becomes sustainable. You can sustain high performance without burning out because you're not trying to live at that peak capacity all the time. You're working with your biology instead of against it. So these two rules, boundaries and resilience, create the container. And when we get here, suddenly the fifth rule emerges naturally. Most of us in our career have been measured by success, are measuring success by achievement, what we delivered, what we closed, what we built, how much we've done, every metric under the book. But at some time around midlife, we start thinking achievement isn't about always being enough. We don't have to check a box anymore. Achievement becomes a measure by alignment and coherence. How aligned are we with the things that we're doing? It's coherence between your values, your biology, and your behavior. And this is where our practice changes. Once a week, at the end of the week works really well. We do an alignment check. Did I choose one action that was aligned, not just accomplished? Aligned action is something that honors all three: your values, your biology, and your behavior. Maybe it's decline a high visibility project because you knew the timeline would override your capacity. Maybe it's having a hard conversation that you've been putting off for a really long time because it's the right thing to do. Maybe it's protecting your energy on a low capacity week instead of trying to push through and paying for it later. When we shift from the metric from achievement to alignment, the goal changes. Longevity becomes a new measure of success. You're not asking, how much can I accomplish this quarter? You're asking how I want to lead for the next 10 years. You're thinking about that longer timeline of your leadership skills. When your values, biology, and behavior work together, instead of competing, you can sustain it. So let's talk about how all of these can work together. This is the building blocks of this new operating system. These worlds don't work in isolation, they build on each other. So our energy and emotional intelligence, they are our internal capabilities. Our boundaries and resistance are the container that allows us to lead sustainably. And when all these four are in place and alignment happens, you get presence, your executive leadership presence. You're not here to perform, you're here to help others. Your leadership states people trust. You become aligned, your performance becomes sustainable. It isn't just theory. This is how we make it happen in practice. So we know in our 30s and 40s, we think that once we get older, we're just gonna start slowing down, lose our competitive edge, just stop doing what we've always done. We're supposed to quietly step aside and make room for the new generation. No, no way. But here's what actually happens when you reach midlife is that your pattern recognition becomes sharper. Your risk calibration improves because you understand work. You have all of this experience and history that you can draw on. Your authority, it becomes quieter and far more effective. So in your 30s, you're proving. In your midlife, you start to lead by knowing. You're just embodying your leadership skills. Midlife isn't a limitation, it's a strategic tuning point. And this is how we help organizations with this. three things begin to change. You're less reactive on your decision making. Your energy is protected, so you're more stable. You're personally more stable, and then the teams that you're leading are feeling that stability, and therefore the teams become more stable. And leaders aren't just thinking about what do I need to do today or tomorrow or this quarter. They're thinking about how do I want this to be accomplished this year, 5 years? How do I want that to be? So, what does alignment look like for you? When energy becomes a leadership input and not a personal problem, everything changes. You stop apologizing for needing boundaries. You stop forcing yourself to operate at peak capacity every single time. You start measuring your worth by how much you can endure. So the question isn't whether or not how, it's what we install. It's not that the changes are happening, it's how do we facilitate those changes. So here's something I want to leave you with. Lead with alignment, not depletion. Midlife isn't a decline, it's a recalibration. And leaders who understand that, who build the systems around alignment instead of endurance, are the ones who sustain influence over decades. It's your choice and it's available to you now. Thanks, everyone. And these slides are available at my website. Go ahead and take a look at them. I'm just going to look at the chat and see what these questions are real quick. Lots of questions. Great. How can women leaders manage burnout during? Yeah, this is so focused on that. This whole new leadership operating system is about how we do that at work. Obviously, there is still a personal side of it where you want to be in contact with your healthcare providers and your nutritionist and that kind of thing to also help your biology. But use this to your advantage. You're discovering how your body is changing and that impact. You can also be thinking about how that is changing your leadership skills and how those things can work together to make things better. And honestly, let's talk about it at work. Like, I think it's important for women to have these conversations at work, and to lean on male allies that we have in the office. Like, this is something we should be talking about at work, just like parental leave. Like, this is an important part of work-life balance. It's not something that's going to go away anytime soon. Yeah, mindset shifts are the most important thing. So I can't I can't say that there's one thing that I could tell you because everyone's so different. And just your personality styles are different, your leadership styles are different, and how menopause impacts you is very different from woman to woman. So I can't say one specific thing, but what I can say is curiosity and experimentation are going to be your friends at this time, because unless you're actually curious as to what can I do, and then experiment with, this person said this worked, let me try that for me. Okay, this doesn't work for me, let me move on to the next thing, to find what is going to work for you, because everyone is different. So I can't say, oh, do this one thing, do this one thing. I can't say that because it's 100% on an individual level. What lifestyle changes support hormonal balance? And yeah, again, the lifestyle changes the same. I can't say one or the top three specific things, because every person is different. But if I generalize a little bit, nutrition and hormone management, super important. Finding out what works best for you, and also thinking about what you want. Like, I think about when I'm thinking about my health what supplements I want to take, what exercise I want to do. I think about not what I need today, but what's going to help me when I'm 80. What are those things that I want to be able to do when I'm 80? And then do a work back plan. What do I need to do to help that? So how do I decrease my stress? What nutrition do I need to change? Those kinds of things. So many questions. And I know our time is kind of running out here. Um, what are the common signs of burnout during midlife? Yeah. Um, I would say what I think is the most important thing is that we have to be aware of it, because oftentimes we don't notice burnout until we're crashing and burning. And what I'm hoping to encourage women is that there's signs long before we crash out. Are you getting sick more often than you used to? Is it taking you longer to get to work in the morning? Are you not excited about work anymore? Something you really love to do, but now you're like, I don't know. Like, look for the early signs of burnout, where it's like, you notice that on the weekends you just want to lay around in bed and not do anything. You don't want to do things in your personal life. Are you really having trouble not getting enough sleep? What are those kinds of things? And notice them as early as possible. And honestly, start doing some of this before you feel burnout, because often what happens is we hit that bottom. We get really sick and we end up having to take 2 weeks off of work or more because our body just says, that's it, I'm done. Or a circumstance happens at work where you are just so emotionally dysregulated that you say something that you shouldn't, or you just say, fine, I'm done, I'm quitting, and you leave. And so we want to take care of this before that happens. So it's really about um, learning, knowing, and understanding yourself so that you can be aware of these little things that are causing that imbalance to happen long before burnout ever does happen and you hit rock bottom, because that's not a good place to land. It takes a while to recover from that. Yeah, high performance. I love this one. What strategies can help women maintain high performance during midlife? 100%, it is taking care of your hormones and your nutrition. So, whatever's best for you. And putting as much importance on your body as you do in your leadership skills. Like, how much time do you spend working on your leadership skills compared to how much time you spend working on your body and your mental wellness? I, from the women that I see, that is super imbalance. Like, we're already working 8 to 10 hours a day. And how much time are we spending on our physical and mental health? A couple hours a week. That is imbalance. So, again, I can't say anything specific, but the basics: nutrition, hormones and supplements, whatever's good for you. Movement, super important. So it's not, you don't have to run a marathon, but you do have to move, and you have to think about how your body's going to be in your 80s, and what you want that to be like, and balance that out. And when you start doing that, that really helps with the longevity in both your life and your business. Awesome. Thanks, everyone. If there's no more questions, I think we'll be ending. Thanks, everyone. It was nice to see you and nice to talk with you.
Thank you, Laurie, for the wonderful presentation. And yes, there are a lot of questions in the chat. So I will pick one question for you. How can women leaders manage burnout during menopause?
Yeah, this is a tough one. This is because it's very specific for each person because everyone's different. So it's really about being aware and understanding what your own body is, what is normal for your own body, and when that starts going off normal. So it's being really aware of, am I not sleeping well? Am I having a hard time um, getting up for work in the morning? Work I used to love, and now I don't like it all. That's a problem. And being really short or making decisions out of uh, without really thinking about it from a reactive perspective versus a proactive position. Once that starts happening, you really start to see these are the beginning steps of how burnout is happening. And yeah, and then definitely taking care of your body, taking care of your mind, and making sure that's balance between your leadership activities. Super important. You're on mute, Melinda.
Thank you so much for answering. And one more question I would like to ask. So, what lifestyle changes support hormonal balance and leadership performance?
Yeah. Again, with lifestyle, it is tough to say one specific thing because everyone is different, but 100% it's your nutrition, movement, taking care of your body, and taking care of your mental health. 100%. Uh, Supplements right for you. This is the tricky part is they have to be right for you. So it's a matter of being curious about what is possible and then experimenting to see what will work for you, because what works for me is not necessarily going to work for you. So it's being aware that things are changing. Okay, things are changing. I need to do something. And being curious and investigating what that needs to be, and then experiment with A and experiment with B and see what really works for you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for answering all the questions. And yeah, and the remaining questions will be emailed to you. Thank you for
Perfect.
joining this Day 4 Virtual Summit 2026 and sharing your fantastic presentation with the audience and who are watching around the globe. And please do join our next sessions and encourage other speakers as well. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye bye.